Welcome to another top 10 video. Today we're going to be talking about a special one, as this is going to be my 400th upload to the main channel, as well as also going to be paid tribute to DMO, because KDMO is pretty much dead to us. So, first off, I have 3 honorable mentions that probably in DMO's eyes should have been burst modes, but instead were put as side megas. So, first honorable mention is King Etemon. He could have been a burst mode, but he was stuck as a side mega. He was basically, in order to achieve him, you would need a Gatsumon or a Goburimon line up to Middle Etemon, and then have a King suit and level 65 to unlock. Currently, this guy has 3 skills. His F3 was considered back in the prime time of DMO. He was considered to be the strongest side mega in the entire game. However, now our Prince Charming here is well beyond and behind his dues. The secondary honorable mention is Imperial Digimon Fighter Mode. As he's a side mega, he could have easily be considered just another mega or a burst mode. As you probably know, Imperial Digimon Fighter Mode is achievable by utilizing an extra 4 Evos towards Imperial Digimon Dragon Mode, who was already up to between his ultimate needing 4 Evos for Pyogemon, and then needed an extra 6 or 8 for Dragon Mode, and then it was 4 just for his side, which is Burst Mode, which is not going to be on the list, so I put him as an honorary mention. Paladin Mode requires level 70, and the Omega Blade. Imperial Digimon Fighter Mode needs to be level 65, 61 in order to Digivolve. So, and the last and foremost, third honorary mention, Bancho Leomon is one of the oldest burst side megas in the game. He could have easily been probably the first unofficial burst mode, but since it wasn't really canon with the line, with the series and everything else, even though it does show him having a burst mode, technically he's a side mega. Well, he's actually could have just been a regular mega, but they chose to stick him as that. So, in regards, Bancho Leomon could have been a burst mode, but we have other plans for him. Okay. He also needed the Gakuran, which is also available in order to, is available for both Baramon and Electmon. As you probably already guessed, the Imperial Digimon line is only available to Vmon, so all the honorables are out of the way. Let us begin with the meat of things, shall we? This is going to be pertaining my top 10, and if the Digi you like is not on the list or it's not in that particular order, it's my list, so just because it's not there on your number doesn't mean you have to hate me for it. All the more reason to share the love. Number 10, Dexmon. Dexmon is the antibody being, which is considered to be Alphamon Ryukin mode's shadow. It is anti-existence. It's like matter and antimatter. This guy, you need to be level 70 with the Dex Dorugamon line, which is the virus line, in order to achieve him. You would also, the X antibody was available for the cash shop, as well as the event rare coin machine. He also has the rideable item known as the X antibody ride, which is available in the cash shop for the price of a burst mode item, which is about like 3,400 points KDMO and like 30 crowns or something. The X antibody, there's like 4,900 points, 3,400 points there, and it's like maybe 30 crowns or something. I never played the G, so don't criticize me on if I'm off by like 2 or 3 or 5. So either way, he's very interesting, especially for plot. Number 9, Mallow Myotismon. This guy digivolves from the Devi line which consists of Myotismon. To Venom Myotismon, level 70 he becomes Mallow Myotismon with the use of the Solomon and Gruma. He also has the rideable rideable extension, Solomon and Gruma again, which allows him to ride on his shoulders. This one, however, his burst mode item was not available in the cash shop for either side for the longest time. I don't know if it's safe for G. I've heard it was out once and then they stopped. But KDMO, it was just an exclusive event island item. It was pretty. Then they brought back the rare coin machine, and then it just got cheaper and more available, but it was never available for mass purchase on the spot. You always had to find a provider for it. Very interesting nonetheless. He's still one of my favorites because of his F2 stands as one of his favorites. Number 8. Armageddonmon. This guy is truly an interesting Digimon in concept and character, mainly because he has more than one cameo. His first cameo was back in the second Digimon movie, the one where, I guess I shouldn't say second, I should probably say the fourth installment, if we're counting that the first movie was a contingency of 3 movies. So it's actually probably the fourth Japanese one, but the second English one. And he also had another cameo in a special, which was for Toei Animation did back in 2011 or 2013. It was a special. It was a 2-part special. One was Digi-Kart Racing, which was to bring back, it was an anniversary of the Digimon Racing. And then the second one was interpretation of a Digimon, a beginner's guide to Digimon World, where basically went in and we had the Season 5 group, the Agumon, Galmon, the Lilamon, and then you had the Season 3's Kalumon in there, talking about the digital world and giving a tour. And this guy appeared as the main problem. He was the main bad guy because he was eating everybody's data. I would recommend watching that, as well as also back for my other pick for the Digimon, the movie X, which the Dexmon resides in. It's very interesting. Going on to schematics, Armageddonmon is the first actual burst mode in the game to be considered an unknown type. This changed a lot of things, because we don't have many unknown types. GDMO-wise, there's maybe Armageddonmon. If there's the rebalance, there's Karamon and Chrysiamon, and then Infirmon. Deoboromon is not an unknown type. And there may be just one or two more Gizumon, and Tanamon's no longer that. So we are very limited on unknown types, so this makes him a very keen and notable character that stands out for that reason. The other thing is you need the Black Tentacle, which is free to purchase from the cash shop, which was 3,400 points KDMO and probably like 30 crowns again on G. I've never been to G long enough with Game King taking over, so don't scrutinize me with just being off by a few crowns. This also is one of the first burst modes to actually be rideable. But this guy eats 5 mode selectors, but he's fast as hell. And he's worth the 5 mode selectors and investments for an unknown rideable Digi. It's too bad though, because there's other reasons why that he's on this low on the list. Digivolution is possible once level 65 for Deoborom Online. Oh, I talked a long time on him. Now, one of my personal favorites. Number 7. Tyrant Kabuterimon. Yeah, you knew this one was coming. This neat guy was considered to be the best virus-type Digimon in the entire DMO franchise, before Beelzemon Blast Mode came along, and the rebalances. It's very sad, very sad. However, in terms of that, we got to be able to see that this guy here, we got to see possibilities from our favorite Kabu Nevermind, who actually became a gigantic tyrant that likes to devour and eat you like a supper. So yes, level 65 for the Tentomon line, as well as the Tyrant Claw, gives you this badass. And sadly or not, we can't ride on him. It'd be neat to ride on a shoulder. Riding on the shoulder of a tyrant. Very, very neat. Speaking of the tyrants, it also brings me back that it was not really one that really came off to mind from that. So, up next, number 6. This one, Lucemon Beast Mode. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, it's not really Beast Mode, but I'm sticking with it because of certain affinities, and I don't want to offend. I'm going to be brief on this one. This one is a bitch to get. A literal bitch to get. Mainly due to the fact that in KDMO, the Gehenna, you have a higher chance of getting sponsored by a global moderator or becoming friends with the GM than getting a Gehenna on KDMO. It's just literally impossible. I mean, I could get like 10 Ibanumon rings, necklaces, I can get a bunch of other stuff, but I can't get a Gehenna. No matter what I do. RIP account, all I needed was just that Gehenna, just to be able to have that 15% movement speed. Moving along, you need to be level 70 with the Lucemon line for the Gehenna, and he is not rideable. And this son of a bitch is still... Yeah, still. Very much so. I mean, still, it still bugs me that thing with KDMO and all that and everything else there. But let's just move on before I ramble too much. Let's see here. Number 5, Apoclymon. And this one I actually have to read off the paper. Apoclymon is the digivolution of 4 different, what is known as the Dark Masters. I had some hot chips in my throat. The digivolution of a burst mode of the 4 Dark Masters, which the 4 Dark Masters actually have burst modes of. So it's burst modes on top of burst modes. So it's a reverse prog, but it's still considered a burst mode. You need to utilize regression in order to be able to use the burst mode item. They're not rideable, and recently they've been rebalanced graphically, visually, to give a better difference with both their skills and as well as also their visuals. And still yet, my favorite one is still the Piedmon one, because it actually represents its own stigma of darkness and everything else to it, which is not too bad. And getting the achievement for it, oh my god, if I have to start back on GDMO and I gotta get that buff and everything, oh, why can't I just transfer my crap from KDMO to GDMO and be done with it? Why does that have to be so difficult? Seriously. Okay, number 4, Craniumon. Yes, I bet you're wondering Craniumon. Actually, I never really liked Craniumon at first. There was just something about him that never really clicked. I never really liked him in the anime. I never really liked him in the series, in general. But then I got back to going back thinking, okay, maybe I should probably click 2 and 2 together and find some kind of common ground. So I did a little bit of backstepping, and I found out that actually, this guy actually has a lot of my childhood in it. And I'll explain. This guy here, his shield and his lance remind me of Dragon Quest monsters. That alone was enough to send me into a whirlspin of nostalgia. His armor alone pertains straight to that era of gaming. And also because the skull on his pelvis reminds me of Medieval, which is a pretty fun PlayStation game that I spent hours and hours on, which was fun. His shield alone was great because it reminds me of the Evil Soldier. His lance alone, it reminds me of the dual-wielding lance from the actual Dragon Quest Monsters game. Then after a while it grew on me, skulls, and so after a while it clicked with me. So now he's number 4 on my list. To obtain this guy, level 65 for the Digimon line, the Hagurumon line for those, and you would need the Clomos Solaris, which is a mouthful. We're almost done. Number 3, Black Saint Mega Gargumon. This guy has a special place in my heart for a few reasons. The main one is because he's got my colors. He's got the black, he's got the red, he's got the silver and white. I mean, those are my colors. That's alone he's got that high up on the list. The second reason is this gun bunny of a bitch was so hard to kill in Digimon World 2003. I actually lost this sucker once. This guy was the hardest side boss, aside from Kurt, in that damn game. He was not fun. You could probably look for my 2003 video with the Blank Say Gargumon. You could hear me cussing my way out of it. So this gun bunny here, level 65 with the Terriermon line, utilizing the Black Saint Wing, which is available in the cash shop, and he is rideable at the low price of 3 or 5 mode selectors. It's been too long, but you need mode selectors for it. You need plenty of them. This guy here is pretty good. I mean, he's bulky and powerful. Not to mention, that look alone is enough to send fear down your spine. Number 2, Marsmon. Marsmon being the burst mode of, believe it or not, Bancho Leomon in the game. You would have think that he would have went burst mode in the series, but no. He's only available from the Bearmon line, who actually originally was a regular Mega in Digimon World 2003, and probably in some other era games. Which makes little to no sense, I know, but still. Mainly due to the fact that he has a cape and he's very muscular. In fact, I had one and I named him Knuckles. Very proud of him. White Knuckles. To achieve this guy, you need to have Bancho Leomon unlocked for the Bearmon line, as well as also have his burst mode item, the Trio Knuckles, which allows him to digivolve into Marsmon, who is a burst mode at level 70. And he's not rideable, so too many what ifs and what ifs nots, right? Now, lastly, number 1. Before I go into this one here, I had to pick from a short line of burst modes and arrange them in a certain order that I like the most. This one here holds a special spot in my heart. Number 1 for me is, in my top 10 burst modes, Beelzemon Blast Mode. Now, I'll explain. Beelzemon Blast Mode signifies a lot of different things. If we're going from the anime's aspect, Digimon Tamers, where he first actually came out, this guy, you went from a regular wanting to get attention, then he digivolved, got power hungry, went nuts, and then went berserk, and then he got his butt beaten and came back, and then he actually reflect. Out of all of said characters in the entire Digimon Tamers anime, Impmon/Beelzemon had the most character development. And that hits really hard, and then brings out to his blast mode, which solidifies his solemn oath to declare himself away from evil and be waged into a war to fight for what he believes in, not just for seeking of power. Second reason, just look at that badass gun on him. Especially with his Far Cry, his Corona Blaster is definitely one of my favorite moments. Favorite attacks, too. He has other versions of his blast mode, which is Beelzemon Blast Mode X, which gives him like 4 to 6 wings, but this version here is the best. So, that's mainly my top 10 burst modes and tributary to DMO, as it's pretty much dead. So then, if the Digimon wasn't on the list that was not who you were looking for, let me down below. Let me know down below is what I'm saying. Share your thoughts below, and let's say a prayer for KDMO as it departs into the afterlife, and hopefully we have some solitude and some consolation to this. Rest in peace, KDMO, and have a good night.